Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name's Tracy Bish. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Victoria, Australia, and I'm so glad to have you here. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I hope that you'll subscribe. This card, I'm taking part in a demonstrator training group blog hop, and I'm super excited to show it to you. It's a really simple card, but it's using a new celebration product that you can earn as a free gift with qualifying order. So it's in the country. You can find it in the celebration catalogue. I'm also using an old favourite, Biggest Wish, and we're doing some really interesting spotlight stamping. So Shaded Spruce, Early Espresso and Crumb Cake inks are what we're using. I have basic white thick card base, Crumb Cake card, Shaded Spruce, and I'm also using my shimmery white cardstock. That's because we're going to do a little bit of watercolouring with this beautiful In the Country stamp set. So you'll find all the measurements over my blog. Please go over and check that out. There's a little bit more information. You can also purchase in my online store through a link over my blog, so yeah, go over and have a look at that one. Alright, so we're going to start off with our crumb cake layer. I'm using the Biggest Wish stamp set, and I'm using the thanks stamp in that set, and we're just going to randomly stamp all the way on an angle on that crumb cake card base with crumb cake ink. So this is just creating a little bit of background in for our card. Each month we're focusing on thank you cards or thanks, so I think having the thank you as the sentiment in the background is really great. This In the Country stamp set actually has 2 images, but there's no sentiments with it. Okay, so we're starting off with the shimmery white cardstock. We're stamping the whole image with Early Espresso ink, and then we're going to come in with our water painters and we're going to colour some things in. But I have my stitched rectangle dies, so I think that's the 4th smallest, as well as that small square rectangular one that we're going to use as well. So I'm going to cut out, or die cut out that 4th smallest rectangle in the shimmery white ink, and then we're going to come back through again, and I'm going to highlight a feature in that image with that smaller die cut there. This is what we're going to colour in. We're going to colour in that little tiny piece, and it's called spotlight stamping. So it's a fun way of highlighting one area in a scene, and you can colour in or do for some fun stuff with just that layer without having to do the whole lot. So super fun little technique that is there as well. We're also using the Shaded Spruce cardstock as our matting piece for our shimmery white. What I love about the stitched rectangle dies is it creates a nice little stitched background. It looks so pretty as well. So I'm just taking my water painters. Because we stamped in Early Espresso, I'm just going to add a little bit of water to that background. It lightens up that ink, so we don't have to add too much ink to that. Then I'm coming in with the crumb cake ink. Now, you can either add some ink onto an acrylic block or a plate or a painter's palette, whatever you have, or you can just squish your ink pad together, and that will leave a little bit of the ink in the top of your stamp pad, and then that way you can pick up some of that ink with your water painter. And highly recommend not having too much water. The great thing is shimmery white cardstock will hold quite well, but if you put too much on, it will peel. So you want a little bit of water there that ink runs really nicely, but not too much where you're losing that definition of our image as well. So we have coloured sort of like the background in crumb cake. We have the Early Espresso for those shading areas in this image, and this is a really great image to do this design with, or to watercolour the full stamped image, because there's great little shading and all that sort of stuff in there as well. And then we're using the Shaded Spruce ink for that greenery. Now, one thing I will say is I probably had a little bit too much water on the tip of my water painter, so it sort of diluted it down quite a lot. Once it's dry, you can come back in and add a little bit more colour, which would give it a little bit more definition. I should have hit it with my heat tool just to make sure that it was dry. I sort of added a little bit of colour, but because it was still fairly wet, it didn't show that extra colour. So a little tip for you, if you want to add colour afterwards, hit it with your heat tool or let it dry naturally, and then come back in and add a little bit more colour for your shading, or if you don't think it has enough colour. Alright, so I'm also using my linen thread, and we're going to do a cheat method here. Instead of wrapping it around that crumb cake card, I'm actually just adding 3 layers that will go across the card base, adding some tear and tape to the back, and then we're sticking the linen thread down on either side. So it's a really great way if you're watching your dollars and don't want to waste your supplies. This is a great method that you can use with both threads as well as linens. So yeah, save some money and save your supplies by doing it this way. I also like to come back in once it's stuck down and then add another layer of the tear and tape over the top, just to make sure that it's not going to go anywhere. Your card's not going to fall apart or anything like that. So it's a really great thing to come in and do. So we're going to layer this up with our stamping dimensionals, and I'm at the end of my dimensionals here, so I'm going to cut down my bones so the sides of our dimensionals are usable. You can cut them down or you can leave them in big long lengths, but make sure that you use all your dimensionals. They're super economical, but and they're even more economical when you can use the whole lot. So we're going to layer this down onto our thick basic white cardstock. One thing I don't do in this video is I don't come back in and add my bow to the side, but I do after I do the video. I didn't notice until after I'd done it. So yeah, make sure that if you're going to add a bow, you can tie a bow to that linen thread as well. Okay, so I've glued my shimmery white cardstock with my shaded spruce. We're going to pop up with dimensionals that little rectangle that we watercoloured, and we're also going to pop up the whole shaded spruce piece down on top of our card base. Now you'll see me, I'll put dimensionals on each corner and then in the middle. What I recommend doing is putting each corner and then placing one little piece on like a triangle in the middle. So where I've put the ones in the middle, that's actually exactly where our linen thread is, and it didn't sit down quite so well. So choose to do it in triangles, so it's actually not going to be sitting anywhere near where that linen thread is. And then we're going to come back in with some basic rhinestones and add them, which gives it a little bit of a pop as well. I think this is a gorgeous thank you card. This is also a blog hop, so please go and check out everyone else's videos or projects on their blog, and they are all linked over my blog as well. I hope that you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, please give me a thumbs up. I'd love it if you left me a comment, and if you haven't hit subscribe, you could do that as well. And you can purchase any of the supplies that I've used on today's card over my blog. Over in my online store, but there is a link over in the blog. Alright, thank you so much everyone. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you all soon. Bye bye.